Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. My over 40 years of dear friend through Amitav Kant, who happens to be holding currently the responsibility of G20 Sherpa for our country. His dynamism I have witnessed right from my younger days. We have grown older together in age and calendar, but perhaps he is far more dynamic than I am. Respected Srimati S. Malarvedi, the chairperson, the host, and the star of this event, is the one who has organized. Through K. Aditya, the young trustee, dear invitees, and my dear young friends. This institution, I had the privilege of visiting about a year and a half back, and I was truly impressed by the performance of the institution, the initiatives taken by the chairperson and the team of trustees, especially in the field of innovation, in the field of research, in the field of doing something new. It doesn't follow the beaten track, and that is the secret of its success, its achievement, and that should be the secret for the success of all of us. Don't follow the beaten track. Do something new, do something innovative. My friends, those who are from outside the country or those who are from outside Tamil Nadu, I must inform you that you are in a land which is exceedingly hospitable, which is immensely rich in its culture, tradition, literature, philosophy. This place, the Tamil Nadu, Tamil people, Tamil literature, Tamil culture, is several thousand years old. It goes way beyond the common era. And since then, this land has nourished, has shaped the culture, civilization, and the idea of our great country, Bharat. Right from the great work of great Tiruvalluvar, Tirukural, a stunning, unique blend of Dharma Shastra and Niti Shastra, unique combination of spirituality and ethics. In the 1330 Kurals, it has practically put things, it's like putting an ocean into a basket. It happened several thousand years ago. And we continue to derive inspiration and strength from that. Our literature of the Sangam period, a great Silpadikaram, Manimekhalai, Purnanuru, Tolkapiyam, so many. Endless. So this is the land of sages, saints, intellectuals, poets, philosophers. And here, those of you who have come from outside, I'm not sure how much time you have because unfortunately I'm told that your programs are all very tight. But I wish whenever you have time, in between or beyond, move around, feel it. Feel it in the air. It's the hospitality, the nature of the people and the place. Friends, we all know that today the world is facing numerous existential crises. It's not a crisis, the crisis that the world is facing, which is looming at the horizon, and I should say some of them are way inside, no longer on the horizon. They are very much here in our midst, touching every one of us. These are existential in nature. Human beings are in conflict with nature, and the result is Mother Earth is heating up. Glaciers are receding. Polar ice caps are melting. Rivers are drying up. Forest cover sinking. Island nations are facing imminent danger of being wiped off the map of the earth. Huge problem. Man, human being versus nature. Then we are in conflict with ourselves, human being with human being. And we are witnessing wars, numerous wars, some visible and many more invisible. The conflict of conflicting ideologies, conflicting interests. Today, there are several countries in the world which have amassed such a large number of weapons of mass destruction that each of them can destroy the world many times over. We are on a very, very fragile balance. Anyone going crazy and we have nothing else but total devastation. It's not only we are in conflict with each other, we are in conflict with ourselves. Each individual today, despite all the new means, new gadgets for easy and comfortable living, is not at peace. The number of suicide, number of depressions, number of cases of abnormal behavior, abnormal change in the human personality is manifest all around. We are at conflict with ourselves. All this panorama of conflict, each one of them is an existential threat to humanity. We have far many other problems as well, not less important. Gender. Even in the most advanced countries in the world, the women there will tell you that environment there is not very, very friendly. Apparently, in the relative terms, they might look, the women have more opportunities. But when you talk to them, when you see their conditions, their working conditions, their living conditions, you have huge gender discrimination. And when half the world, at least half the world, is discriminated, how can we think of building a peaceful and harmonious, pleasant world? We have problem of poverty. A large section of our people in the world are still hungry, starving for food. We too during the colonial period, since they had destroyed our agriculture and they had made us to produce commercial crops for their markets like opium, indigo, instead of food grains, and excessive extortionary taxations, our agriculture had suffered hugely, and when the British left, we were facing a starvation. Famine had begun during their time itself. India never witnessed famine before. Thanks to our scientists, thanks to our farmers, within a short period we became food surplus. And we are in a position to feed the hungry in the world. But the fact is, a large section of the humanity is still starving. We have poverty and starvation. Now all these problems, each one of them are serious enough to make us sleepless. Combination of all these, it does not bode well for the future of the world. Now, if you look at all these problems, much of these problems, and perhaps almost all of these problems got aggravated in the last about 70 years and odd. The world order that emerged or that was created in the aftermath of the Second World War by the victors, this order has proved to be iniquitous. It has proved to be unworthy of solving the global problems, the problems of humanity. Look at recent pandemic. When COVID has struck, it didn't spare anyone. It didn't spare anyone in any part of the world. And then, when we didn't know the way out, at the time when the developed countries, advanced countries, when they developed vaccines, there was an expectation that perhaps the empathy for a fellow human being elsewhere would emerge, would assert, and perhaps the medicines and vaccines would be shared with the less privileged. But it didn't happen. Instead, vaccine nationalism began. People started hoarding, those countries started hoarding more than their need, and raising the price of the vaccines. It was in that background, in that backdrop, that thanks to our scientists, that when we invented vaccine, and now the world has accepted, though at the beginning, out of disbelief or out of whatever be the reason, disbelief in our capability or so, they raised a lot of suspicion over it. But today, the world has accepted that our vaccine is among the best in the world. And when we, thanks to our scientists, when we invented the vaccine, we shared the vaccine with the needy people in over 150 countries in the world. And that too, free of cost. This is Bharat. This is India. This is sanskar of India. This is DNA of India. It believes in, when we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, world is a family, it is not a political slogan, it is in our DNA. Because India cannot afford to see any suffering elsewhere. No Indian can afford to see any suffering elsewhere. It is there with us. It is a legacy of thousands of years of cultural and spirituality which has evolved as our culture. As our dynamic Sherpa mentioned about the democracy. People talk about democracy. Even here I find people very often, I hear very educated people, learned people, whenever there is a talk of democracy, they never feel tired of mentioning Abraham Lincoln. Democracy for the people, of the people, and by the people. Little realizing that at the time the person who coined these expressions, women had no participation. Propertyless people had no participation. And the blacks were not considered even human beings. So what did they mean by people? In this country, our stone scriptures are witness. All over the country, be it near Kanchipuram, go to North Bihar, Lakshmi, go to Kashmir, go to Kamrup. Everywhere, stone scriptures tell you how participative decision making was there several thousand years ago. Even the kings and queens were not sovereign. The kings and queen being sovereign is a Western European concept. No, here they were subject to dharma. And that is why people, some of our own people, because of this colonial influence and colonization of mind, they have difficulty in understanding Bharat. They try to understand Bharat as a state from the European context, European perspective. How the states evolved in rest of the world. In Europe, by a strong man. Ruler with a strong army captured a territory, consolidated, a state emerged. And many countries which we call very developed today, they were built out of bloodshed, killing the indigenous people. Annihilation of indigenous people. Bharat, no, it was not built by any king or any queen. It is a cultural and civilizational evolution. Cultural and civilization evolution that began since the days of Rig Veda, when our people discovered and the truth, the mystery, resolved that we are all part of a family. Be it human, be it animal, be it plant. We are all children of this Mother Earth. And so we have a relation of kinship. And when we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it is not just in one language, it is in every language. Here in Tamil, we say, Yadu Mure, Yavarum Kelir. It is everywhere, in every Indian language it has, because it is our sanskar. It is in our DNA. So, G20 as an opportunity, holding the presidency of G20 as an opportunity, unique opportunity that we have to tell the world, to share with the world. The new way of thinking, the new way of living, the new way of conducting our affairs. And sharing the magical transformation that our country, India, is going through. In the last about 9 years, our country has witnessed and is witnessing multiple transformations at multiple levels. We see our Sherpa, Amitabh Kantji mentioned, he gave a number of data. It tells you the changes that are happening. But at the root of it, if you look at, how come, if we say that we have opened over 500 million bank accounts, if we are doing direct benefit transfer to over 500 million people, if 110 million farmers are receiving direct benefit transfer thrice a year, and all the recipients are getting, if we have built more than 30 million houses, as you mentioned, in the span of last few years, how could it be possible? Could it be possible by the government? No, certainly not. Government alone cannot do. And this is a lesson which India has to share with the rest of the world. Which Prime Minister the Prime Minister Modi, an incredible person, incredible thoughts. The notion that we are talking about, which is the motto of G20, is the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is a family, is applied here in our country. He is the one, because before colonization, our outlook was different. But during colonization, there was a lot of perversions. But even after the British left, we continued pursuing our policies, policy of development, policy of growth, through the imagination of the Europe, through the imagination of the British. We started looking at the country the way they looked at it in terms of geography, different geographies. South, north, east, west, northeast, and further divisions, subdivisions, even in the region. We started with solving the problems. Each problem, incremental solution. Whether it's health, whether it's education, whether it's infrastructure. Not that we didn't do, we did a lot. We built hospitals, we built schools, we built roads, rails, we built airports. But we built it incrementally, that this 5 year, this much resource, this much money. So a state should negotiate with the planning commission, and a smarter one will get larger share, not so smart, the left behind. A Darwinian model of development and growth. As a result, it caused a lot of regional imbalances. Some areas got developed more, some areas did not develop much. And even in the areas which developed, there are a lot of sub-regional imbalances. We have in our own state. South, north, east, west, differences are there. So, what the change that the Prime Minister brought about? He looked at the country as a kutumbam, as a family. And when you have a kutumbam, when you have Bharat, India as a family, then sickness is not the problem of an individual, one individual, or one set of people. It is the problem of the entire family. And that is why, when the problem of health being started, he started resolving, addressing the problem of the health. When the Ayushman Bharat, there is no distinction between a person from Tamil Nadu or Tripura. Every citizen of this country who is below a certain level of economic status is eligible and has access to Ayushman Bharat. There is no distinction on the basis of region or geography. When it comes to Jan Aushadhi Kendra giving generic drugs, we have now nearly 10,000 outlets where drugs, the generic drugs, are 1/10 of the price which you have the branded, easily accessible. When we have 150,000 over primary health centers being upgraded, there is no distinction between the primary center in Kanyakumari or primary center in Kamrup, which is Assam. All primary centers being developed. Building of the medical colleges. Every district to have a medical college. No distinction. Looking at the family. Kutumbam. This, when we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we have experimented successfully Bharat as a Kutumbam. And this is the change which the Prime Minister Modi has brought in. Irrespective of political dispensation, irrespective of language, irrespective of region, irrespective of any diversity, because in a family, no two members are exactly alike. It's like leaves on a tree. A tree has million leaves and no two leaves are alike, exactly alike. Go and look at it carefully. But yet, beyond the tree, the leaf has no existence. It's all part of it, integrally connected. So the diversity that we have in our family is not, it doesn't mean any inherent difference. Diversity is the law of nature. It doesn't take away the fact that we are one family. So the experiment, the successful experimentation of Kutumbam, Bharat as a Kutumbam, carried out by the Prime Minister, this is what is bringing the magical transformation. And when you treat it as a Kutumbam, you must have a trust in the capacity of every member of the Kutumbam. It's not the head of the family alone. It's not that the government alone that will drive the change. It is impossible, not possible. Do you think in less than 7, 8 years, 9 years, all these magical transformations could have been possible? No, certainly not. Because this is just not possible. It is the trust in our people, in our people's capacity, what is called people-centric governance. And when we say people-centric governance, it is not the governance for the people. Every government says we are people-centric, we are for the people. Forget it. It is a trust and belief in people's power. When we say people-centric governance, is people will govern. They have the capacity to do it. And if in 2014 we had less than 500 startup, and if we are nearing 1 lakh today, it is this 1 lakh today is young men and women like you who are doing it. It's not that the government is doing it. Believe the trust in the people. That is the trust in the people and treating the country as a family is a model for the rest of the world. And this meeting, this young, what we call young ambassadors summit of G20 is very, very important because it is the young who have a much larger stake in the future. A safe and fulfilling future is a moral obligation for the present leaders. But for you, for the youth, it's your existential necessity. You have to live that future. So there is a difference in a scale, difference in intensity, the way, the stake that you elders have in the future and you have in the future. You have what the future will be, what tomorrow will be. It should not be something which is given to you. You must be part of it. What is tomorrow? It is when today becomes past, yesterday. When today becomes yesterday, tomorrow appears. Now tomorrow doesn't appear suddenly. You young people, you think that, okay, let tomorrow come and then we'll be leader, we'll take over. No. Do you want a future which is given to you, which is carved out, in which you have limited space? You must create that space because you have to live in that. And you have to be. You are not just future leader. You are leader in the making right from today. And when you are leader in the making with a much higher stake, because you have to live tomorrow, not the elder generation or generation like me, you have to play a far more significant role. And when you are playing significant, the way to play significant role is to think about that a world where you will be able to fulfill your dreams and aspirations. The world which will be safe for living and should be fulfilling to your dreams and aspirations. And what could be a better forum than G20? Because G20, we all know how powerful group it is. It can change the destiny of the world. It can shape the future for a better living of the humanity. It has far more potential for transforming the world than any other body in the world, any other multilateral body in the world. So, our young ambassadors, our youth, you must come up with your recommendations that should be fulfilling your aspirations, your dreams, in a way that you are able to influence the leaders of G20. When the heads of the governments, heads of the state, they will be meeting and discussing towards the end of this year, what you recommend, it should be something solid, something futuristic, something that should be aligned with your dreams and aspirations. Here is the opportunity. If you let it go, leaders will decide what they feel like, according to their understanding. Everyone will wish well. No one will wish any ill for tomorrow. But wishing well is not enough. The way I can imagine the future, saying that I imagine a good future for you, I think that is presumptuous. That's not the right way to say it. You must be able to say, what is the good future that you have for yourself? And here is an example in India. Two themes that you have for the afternoon: digital education and women empowerment. Both these themes, you see how India is doing. Share the Indian experiment, Indian experience. How this massive transformation has happened through digitalization. How in 2012 we had just 2% of the global mobile data. Today we are more than 21% of the global mobile data. This more than 10-fold increase that has happened, how did it happen? This is something to understand and appreciate. This transformation, this has happened. Our young Sherpa said that in normal course it would have taken 50 years, but it happened in 7-8 years. Because you cannot wait. The way the problems are looming, the problems are coming, you have no option to go slow. We have to move fast. You have to move fast. So, Indian experiment and its experience in digitalization and revolutionary transformation is worthy of understanding, appreciation, and perhaps even replicating in the rest of the world. See how it is. How it has eased every aspect of our life. And women empowerment. In our country, we had more than 90 million self-help groups. Over 90 million self-help groups, and overwhelming majority of such self-help groups are women-led. How the women are transforming their lives, the lives of their families, and lives of the society and the country. You got the happy news that we have more number of women than men. We, for a very, very long time, very, very long time, we thought we were carrying the blemish of women far less than the men. And it was not that women were not born. They were born. But a lot of things, a lot of bad practices, lack of care, lack of nutrition, lack of health, multiple reasons that women, the millions and millions of women went missing. And if today we have more number of women, and in our own state, Tamil Nadu, I was happy, in fact, when the latest electoral roll was presented to me, I was happy to find that we have nearly 15,000 more women voters in Tamil Nadu than men. We have nearly 6 crores 30 lakh voters approximately, and we have 15,000 more women. What a delightful. But how did it happen? It just didn't happen. Just like that. It happened through multiple initiatives. Right from our Prime Minister initiative of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Providing toilets in every household. Providing toilets in every institution, every school for the women. Nutrition, prenatal, postnatal. Incentives and facilities for the girl children education. For their entrepreneurship. Today, our women are doing incredible, achieving incredible feats in the field of entrepreneurship. This experiment of India, experiment and experience of India in the last 8-9 years is worth understanding in detail. And I would urge the delegates and those who have come with them to understand it deeply, to understand and appreciate its nuances, how this magic happened. This magic happened in less than a decade. Not only that avenues for women were opened in all fields, but it is not just opening the avenue that you have to create environment. It's not that there is this mindset that we have to empower women. It is again a very, 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 very paternalistic, or I won't like to use the word, more strong word. It's the way as if you are empowering. No, they have. When Prime Minister talks about Nari Shakti, it is the power, potential power which is lying in each of our women as sleeping Kundalini. Kundalini is something you understand in yoga. The Indian people, they understand it. When it wakes up, the revolutionary transformation happens. And this is happening today. The Kundalini of Nari Shakti is waking up. And we see the transformation. How this is happening? It is for the G20 youth leaders to understand, appreciate. Because the young men and women of today, it is your future. I know today afternoon you will spend time. You will have a very, very meaningful, fruitful discussions, interactions. And I'm sure each one of you will carry something very, very positive, something tangible with you. Friends, one thing more which I would like to urge all the delegates. We realize that there's a difference between change and transformation. Change happens in any case, whether you like it or not. But if you want to bring about a transformation, the desired transformation can only happen if you have the critical mass of people and ideas to transform. So to build that critical mass, I would urge the young leaders present here to do the networking. You to connect with each other. You are here in a very good number. You, not only in the meetings, not only in the sessions, but outside the session. Interact, share your numbers, exchange, sort of exchange your contact details, email, WhatsApp. Remain in touch. Because if you want to be effective, if you want the future to be your liking, something to fulfill your dreams and aspirations, you have to build the critical mass. And for that, you must network. And you must continue your contact, your exchanges even beyond today. I'm sure it will pave the way for a better future, a safer future. I have no doubt about it. I once again thank this institute, Sri Krishna Institute of College of Engineering and Technology, its chairperson, and all of you present here. I wish you all the very best. Thank you. Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. Youngsters are indeed inspired by your talk, and I'm sure it has opened